Just telling us it's almost time.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call the Douglas School Committee to order at 6:30 on December 6th. I will read the Douglas Mission Statement for Public Schools. The Douglas Public Schools offer a diverse learning experience that meets the academic, social, physical, and emotional needs of all of our students. We provide a safe, supportive, and a challenging learning environment in which students may achieve academic success and personal growth. Decisions are made in the best interest of our students. I'd like to have everybody please rise for Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. I'd like to call our student representative, Molly Stetchfield, up, please.
Hello. The high school has become quite busy as we end our 2023 year. Advisory continues to assist us in college preparation, especially with college application due dates passing by and coming up. For other grades, this period continues to help with mental and stress help attributes with being in high school, as well as pre-college preparation to be ready for when they end up completing their college applications. For events happening in the high school, Student Council is hosting their Toys for Tots donation event, where students in each grade participate in a penny awards game. The grade with the most points, as determined by the amount of dollar bills and pennies in their grades bin, wins points towards our upcoming winter carnival. Peer leaders are also hosting their 12 Days of Giving drive, where each day is a new kind of item that grades can donate. Next Friday, the Drama Club is hosting their winter play, Candyland, directed by Louis Magala, and I'm one of the lead roles. I play Jill, so this is quite exciting. Finally, the DECA Club is simulating debates during their next meetings in preparation for the competition season. The GSA also hosted an event last month to raise money for the club, where students could purchase feathers for a teacher, and the teacher with the most feathers could wear a turkey costume for the day before Thanksgiving break. And the winner for that event is Mr. Genesi. We also have the captains from the sports teams here to provide summaries and what happened for their sports teams this year. Thank you.
Well, before you leave, you shared some good news with us.
Oh yes, I have the good news. I got accepted to 3 colleges so far, so have a few more on the way.
That's
We have Elmira College in Elmira, New York, New England College in Henniker, New Hampshire, and then Johnson, Wales, and Providence. So
Exciting.
they all have different scholarships for me, and we're just figuring out which one I like best right now. But we have another Roger Williams coming up, their decision on December 15th, and sometime in January I'll hear from Bryant University.
Good for you.
Sweet.
Congratulations. Thank
That's
you.
exciting.
I am very excited for that.
Sweet. Any questions from anybody? Thank you so much, Molly.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you. Now I'd like to call our fall high school student athletics up.
We're going to start with cross country.
Hi, I'm Emily Hamlin, the 2023 senior captain of the Douglas varsity cross country team. This year, the cross country team celebrated many successes, including welcoming 12 new runners to our previously very tiny team. We competed in numerous district-wide cross-country meets, taking home the win against Blackstone Millville Regional High School, Nipmuc Regional, and Bellingham High School. We competed at the DVC Championship race, where freshman Amr Chaudhary finished 14th overall in the varsity race with a time of 19 minutes and 17 seconds, earning him a spot as one of the DVC All-Stars for the season. Sophomore captain Neo Tells ran 2 sub-20-minute races this season, placing him in the top 30 in the boys' race at the 16th annual Ocean State Invitational Meet, which, if you don't know, there are hundreds of runners in that meet, so I'm very proud of him. There were many other personal victories this season. I am beyond grateful for all of these kids and for my coach, Coach Floria, teacher at Douglas High School, and she's an excellent cross-country coach. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Congratulations. Thanks.
Next, we have football.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Gavin Delgado, and I'm a senior captain of the Sutton Douglas football team.
My name is Josh Farrell, also a senior captain on the football team.
First off, I would like to acknowledge and appreciate all the work that the Douglas athletes have put into this season. Despite only making up 7 of the almost 40 players on the team, we had 4 seniors who had all contributed to both sides of the ball, as well as special teams. Josh Farrell, being another Douglas captain, led the receiving corps this year and did an amazing job. Bo Greer, another receiver, had an amazing year as well, being at one point the second top receiver for receiving yards in Central Mass. Alex Fano was an amazing defensive tackle, stopping the inside run despite undergoing a very serious injury early in the season. And myself, the starting right tackle and strong defensive end, leading both the offensive and defensive lines as captain. As for the future of Douglas football athletes, we have Sean Vitale, an up-and-coming linebacker and fullback, Lenny Hicks, a wide receiver and cornerback, and Caleb Williamson, an offensive guard. It was also an amazing feeling for Douglas players being able to play on our home field in front of our own crowd on homecoming. This season, our team had made great strides in the history of the program. For the first time in history, we had beaten St. Bernard's and Nipmuc, who were both in our DVC, in which we also played for DVC Championship on Thanksgiving, but fell to BMR. Also, for the first time in program history, we had a winning record for the season and made the playoffs. That being said, this year was a very historic year for the Sutton Douglas football team, and we could not have done it without the help of the Douglas athletes and the support from both schools, athletic directors, coaches, and parents. It was also very nice being able to connect and form a brotherhood in both schools, creating bonds that last. It felt very nice being able to gain recognition for football in our school with the help of Ms. Sokol. It can be hard at times being a co-op with our school's rival, but it's nice knowing that when we both come together, we could do great things. Thank you and have a good night.
Thank you so much. Congratulations on your season.
All right. Golf is up next.
Hello, everyone. I'm William Hogan. I'm one of the senior captains on the golf team. My brother Andrew was also a senior captain, but unfortunately he could not make it tonight. This season, the Douglas golf team had one of its most successful seasons in the past decade. The team was made up of 3 seniors, 2 juniors, and 1 sophomore. We finished the season with a record of 11-6 with a 4-4 conference record, which is good for second place in the Dual Valley Conference. The team also qualified for the Division III district tournament for the 3rd straight season and did so by winning one of our final matches against fellow rival Sutton. Our team was able to finish in 5th place out of 12 teams at the district tournament, which marked the best finish in the tournament since we won it back in 2013. We also had one individual, Andrew Hogan, who qualified for the Division III state tournament for the 2nd year in a row. He would finish 11th overall out of 82 golfers. Andrew and I were also both named DVC All-Stars for the 3rd straight season. Next season, the team will return 3 out of the 6 starters and should be competitive once again. Overall, this fall was a very successful one for the golf team, as it was a very successful season, and they are looking forward to be competitive in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Boys soccer. Very easy the past month to see who was on the soccer team.
Yep.
Who wasn't.
Hi, my name's Chris Dame, senior captain.
Hi, my name is Logan Hooper, and I'm also a senior captain.
Hello, I'm senior captain Gavin Gualtieri, and I've been chosen as a representative to speak on our behalf tonight. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak on behalf of my teammates and recap our season. This year's team was very well, and we had an overall record of 13-4-6 and had many highlights along the way. After getting out to a tough 2-2-2 record, we were able to go 11 games unbeaten, with our record being from that point on 8-0-3, 8 wins and 3 ties. And we were able to make it all the way to the finals of the Central Math Athletic Directors Tournament. It was a hard-fought game, but in the end, we came up a bit short to a very strong Oakmont team. During our run in the state tournament, we were able to win our first 3 games, which then led to a showdown in the state semifinals against the perennial powerhouse Bromfield, who had won the last 5 state titles consecutively. In that game, we were able to prevail in the penalty kickout and celebrate in the stands with our fellow students and families who have supported us along the way. During the finals, we played to a scoreless draw through regulation and overtime, and again went to penalty kicks. Unfortunately, fate was not on our side, and we lost to Westport in the shootout. It was certainly a disappointing outcome, especially when we hadn't given up a goal in our final 250 minutes of play. But we held our heads high, knowing that we left it all on the field. I feel very fortunate and honored to be a part of the group that has had one of the more successful 3-year runs in the soccer program. Making it once again to the semifinals, and twice to the finals, I've had the privilege to play with some incredible athletes. They are hardworking, respectful, driven, and committed to the team. We hope we have demonstrated the type of character that the town and school want to see. It was an honor to wear the blue and white jerseys, and I'm going to miss it and my teammates immensely. I would also be remiss if I didn't thank my coaches, Coach Alex, Coach Ralph, and Coach Jay, along with our athletic director, Mary Sokol, the administration, the field maintenance staff, and our great fans, and especially the parents. Thank you very much, and it was an honor playing for Douglas.
Girls soccer.
My name is Cecilia White, and I am one of the captains of the girls varsity soccer team. Our season definitely had its fair share of ups and downs this year, but we were flexible and able to adapt easily to any situation, which definitely benefited us in the long run. We started out strong with a brand new formation, and we're excited to see all the successes that would come of this. Then we hit an unfortunate bump in the road, and we could not find a way to get any result. After a frustrating senior night, Mr. Stand, one of our coaches, lit a fire beneath us with a very motivational speech. The team's newfound motivation carried us all the way to CMAS finals, where we played Sutton and unfortunately lost, and to state semifinals, where our season unfortunately ended, to Whitinsville Christian. Though our season didn't end the way we had hoped, we had found a way to achieve many individual and team successes. Among those are our four DVC All-Stars, Ava Hare, Olivia DeFalco, Sadie O'Toole, and Julia Kaminsky. I am very grateful to have been a part of this amazing team. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Alphabetical order has me correct. Volleyball is next.
My name is Gabrielle Rivard, and I am one of the captains on the varsity girls volleyball team. We finished our season with an 8-12 record. Our season had a rough start, but we were able to find an effective lineup after our senior night. We were able to go on a 5-1 winning streak. This lineup helped us get a redemption over South Lancaster Academy in the CMAS tournament with a 3-0 sweep. One of the highlights of our season was beating Hopedale in a 5-set match for the first time since 2012. We made it to the round of 16 against Mount Greylock, where we unfortunately ended our season. We had team and individual success, and for the individual success, our two DVC All-Stars were Gerani Sufita and Ava Lemire. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
That's it, unless the committee has questions.
So we celebrated your successes when people would come in and tell us what was going on. So we're really proud of you all. Thank you so much for taking the time. We know you're busy with your own social lives right now, but we appreciate the time that you've taken to come and talk to us about it. So we celebrate your successes.
I think Ms. Sokol has 1 or 2 things to add at the mic.
Good evening. Hello, everyone. I'm Mary Sokol. I'm very fortunate to be the athletics director here at Douglas High School. The kids did a great job, I think, but they did pretty much going to say everything I said, but one thing I did want to congratulate is Coach Alex Ferguson, who has retired after 22 years of coaching the boys soccer program. He finished with a record of 275 wins, 102 losses, and 62 ties. I just wanted to publicly thank Alex for his everything he gave to the Douglas program, and I'd also like to thank Joe Gultieri for his volunteerism with both the programs. So, and I would just want to congratulate all the fall athletes. You guys are awesome.
Yes, very good. Thank you so much. Moving on to public comment. Is anybody here for public comment? Seeing that there is none, we're going to move on to any old business.
You don't have any old business?
We're moving into new business and the superintendent's report, please.
All right, we have the primary school here to talk a little bit about ST Math. I'm not even going to begin to attempt to introduce it because I will not do it justice. So I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Sosha and her students and staff to talk a little bit about ST Math. I know we have a slide deck here for people as well.
We're used to the tiny chairs.
Yes.
Not the adult sized. You guys good?
All right, well, I want to introduce my team that I have with me tonight. So I have my math champions, my two teachers, Mrs. Berthium, grade 1, and Mrs. Blatchford, kindergarten. And my ST mathematicians here from grade 1, we have Aiden, Natalie, Sadie, and Axel, and they're going to help us talk about the slides tonight. So what you're seeing on the slides would be a presentation that we were asked to do for ST Math for a state conference in October. So when they asked me, I was, what do you want us to do? I said, we just keep doing our own thing here. We didn't think we were doing anything special. So, you know, we had no idea why they wanted us to do it. But they wanted us to share, and when we go, we want to bring things back that we can use, so that's what we were doing. We were sharing all of the ideas, and the ideas come from my two champions right here. They're the brains behind everything, and I'm just in the room saying, go ahead, do that. I can fund that for you. I can do this, I can do that for you, and I support you. And then the kids just take on their own role, and it's perfect. So the first year that we did this, we were just trying to log on, you know, just trying to figure out what is ST Math, what do you mean? There were no words to any of this. So it was really just kind of finding our way. And then year 2, we started to add little things, little incentives. So I would announce the winner of the week, the classroom who solved the most puzzles on Monday morning. We would announce that in kindergarten and first grade. And then they would get a Gigi. Do you want to hold up that Gigi, Aiden, show everybody? So Gigi would go to the classroom that had the most puzzles and stay there for the whole week. So slowly we did that. Then each teacher would do certificates. So Kim, I've got those. So they have all different kinds of certificates. Awesome effort, fabulous focus. So every teacher would send out a certificate on a Monday morning, and I would announce that. They would come to the office. You maybe have seen pictures in my blog. So they stand next to the big cardboard Gigi that we have and hold up their certificate for just hard work. It doesn't have to be anything else but hard work. So that was year 2. So we just started slow and building. Year 3, well, then we started with March Madness and the brackets and the basketball and who had the most and class against class. And we had a lot of different community things going on. So as we go through the slides, you'll see some of those. So I am going to turn it over to Mrs. Blackstone first.
Just real quickly, what is ST Math for people who might be watching at home and don't have kids in the primary or elementary school?
It is spatial temporal math with no language at all, and it's problem solving. It's all on the iPad, and maybe our kids could answer that. What do you think ST Math is? Anybody want to tell them?
What do you get to complete when you're working your way through ST Math?
Puzzles.
You're working your way through puzzles, and what are some of the puzzles? What are you learning as you go through ST Math?
Adding.
Addition, right. What's something else we learned when we went through?
Subtracting.
Subtraction, that's right. Anything else we might have learned so far?
Putting numbers in order.
Order from what?
1 through 10.
1 through 10 might be a way. What about when we put them in order? Think about the tomato game. What were we learning there? Sadie?
Least to greatest.
Least to greatest, putting our numbers in order from least to greatest. Becoming problem solvers, right? Using our tools to become problem solvers.
And I think that's the greatest thing about the program. When we first looked at it that first year, I was looking at it from a 5-year-old point of view. And I said, they're going to look at this iPad and they're going to just burst into tears because there's no direction. They get nothing from us except to try. And when you fail, see what happens. And something on the iPad will give you an idea of what you need to do next to fix it. And it's kind of cool to see the progress they go through as they're doing it. You see a little bit of frustration at first, and they're just hitting things, trying to figure out what's going to happen. And then after the first couple attempts, you see that, oh, now I know what they're expecting from me. And that's the coolest thing, is it's independent problem solving. And we have tools all over the classroom that they can use as resources. They can pull out wipe off boards and markers. They can pull out counters, they can pull out cubes, and they are taking that step to figure out how to solve the problem that's on their iPad. And it's just amazing to see.
Thank you.
So at the beginning of every year, we do a scavenger hunt. Now, typically kindergarten does a Pete the Cat scavenger hunt. If anybody doesn't know who Pete the Cat is, he's a lovable blue cat that the kids absolutely love stories that are surrounding his life. And you do what?
Usually the gingerbread man
Gingerbread
scavenger hunt.
Right, and it's just to get used to the school, to understand the rules and the makings of our school community. And when we were looking to incorporate Gigi, our lovable penguin who ST Math surrounds, we were trying to figure out, like, what can you do to build that motivation? One of the things was to take something that we typically do throughout our school year and then make it penguin focused. So that's exactly what Kim did. She organized this wonderful scavenger hunt where we need to look for 5 clues throughout the school. And it was in the gym and in the cafeteria and the nurse's office and the art room. And Gigi left, what did Gigi leave, Sadie? Footprints. So they had to go find the footprints, and they would be the next clue for the next spot in the school. The kids had a blast. Do you want to talk a little bit more about it, Sadie?
So actually, if you want to, Scott, move the slides up, go to the next slide and the next slide. And then they're going to share a little bit about the pictures that you see there while they traveled on their scavenger hunt. So our first friend, Sadie, if we're looking at that first picture, I'm going to ask you to share what was happening in that first picture. You're going to have to move a little closer to the mic, sweetie, so we can hear you. What was happening in that first picture on our scavenger hunt?
Gigi stood on the chair and he ate an apple, drank some milk, and also ate some french fries with ketchup.
And what do you see on the seat there?
Gigi's footprints.
Gigi's footprints. And if we look to the next picture up there, what are all of our friends doing up in that picture?
They're all looking at what Gigi ate.
What Gigi ate. And did Gigi leave a mess behind?
Yep.
Oh, so do we have a message for Gigi? What message might we leave Gigi next time? Should Gigi clean up after himself?
Yes.
Absolutely. How about that last picture down below? Can you tell us, where was that?
So Gigi was at the nurse's office and he needed to get a Band-Aid because he fell on a scooter board in the gym.
Oh my goodness. Hope Gigi was okay. If you could change to the next slide. All right, so Aiden, can you tell us a little bit about what we see in that next picture?
Gigi was reading books about penguins and he was sitting in a beanbag too.
So Gigi, where was Gigi? In the what?
In the library.
So you found the clue in the library and he was reading books about
penguins.
How appropriate, seeing Gigi is a
penguin.
A penguin. And how about that last picture, Aiden, up there? Where were you? Where was our class? Where did we go?
In the gym.
We traveled to the gym, so the clue led us to the gym, and what did we find there?
We found Gigi's footprints inside of a hula hoop.
Inside of a hula hoop. What was he doing there? What did the riddle tell us?
He was riding a scooter board.
Oh, he was riding a scooter board, and did he use the hula hoops?
Yes.
Silly Gigi. Next slide, please. All right. It's now. Natalie, you want to tell us about that top picture? Who do you see there?
Gigi.
And where was Gigi?
At the principal's office.
So we found Gigi at the principal's office. How silly, right? And then down below, it looks like you're all pointing at Gigi. Why are we pointing at Gigi there?
Because we found Gigi.
We found him, and did you get a special reward for finishing your scavenger hunt?
Yeah.
What did you get?
A sticker from Gigi.
You got a special sticker from Gigi? How cool is that? And Axel, you want to share about that last picture that you really loved?
Gigi painted a picture about a penguin.
So where were we? Where did we travel to for that riddle?
The art room.
We went to the art room, and when you got there, what did you see?
A picture that Gigi made about penguins.
Oh, so Gigi got to make a picture of a penguin?
Yeah.
Wow, how did he do?
Good.
He did a great job, didn't he? Nice work. Thank you, friends.
So that's one of the things that we shared with the group that we had. So people signed up for the session. We had about 25 people in our session. So that was one idea. And then the next slide.
Actually, can I just?
Oh, yeah.
So the scavenger hunt led to LAPS. So LAPS is an acronym for Let's All Problem Solve. So once the entire school, Douglas Primary, finished with the scavenger hunt, and we all went to the hallway, we all logged on for our first time onto ST Math, and we launched the program together. Gigi visited us, gave some high fives as all the students got to engage in ST Math there. So this is something that I did. It's take a little Gigi home with you. So I created this binder, and all of my students will get to take this binder home at some point during the year, along with the mini Gigi that Mrs. Socher was generous enough to get for us. And so every Monday, this binder will go home with a student that's selected, and it's returned to school on a Friday. There's a parent letter inside that just is addressed to the student, and it just talks about expectations of when they have Gigi home, what are you supposed to do with Gigi? It talks about you can take him on adventures, you can take snapshots and send them to Mrs. Berthium, and we'll share them with the class. It also gives guidelines to the families about when you have Gigi, what should you do when you're writing? There's a page in here that looks just like this, share that, where the students get to share their time with ST Math. It might be they're sharing a particular puzzle that they solved. It might be a math skill that they're working on, or it might be a challenge that they needed to overcome and tools that they needed to take out to use to figure out that problem. So I can't say enough about how motivating this was for the students to get them invested in ST Math. Every Monday they're coming in and they're like, who's taking Gigi home next? They were a little sad this Monday because I said, no one is, because I'm taking Gigi with me to school committee. So, but they were sure that we'll start again next Monday. And you can see if you look at the slide, those are just some of last year's examples. They talked about what they liked about ST Math. Some wrote about some of the puzzles that they needed to complete. And then when the binder comes back on a Friday, during our Friday meeting closing circle, the students then share the binder with the class. So they share their adventures that they took him on, they share what they wrote about in the Gigi binder, and then all of the pictures that we put together for each individual student of this class. So you can see from the slides up there, that some of the students were so very creative when they got to take Gigi home. Gigi helped with math homework, trick-or-treating with Gigi. If you go to the next slide, Scott, Gigi went off to the pool for swim lessons. Gigi, again, was doing homework, went to dance class. So it was an extremely motivating tool that got the students very much invested in ST Math. I loved that the students got to talk about ST Math with their parents. They got to use their math talk, their math vocabulary. They got to write about math. So in going forward, this is definitely something that I want to continue doing with my first graders. So they were awesome, they're amazing, but before they leave, I want them to share with you what's their favorite part of ST Math. Can you do that, Axel? You want to start? What do you especially like? What was maybe one of your favorite puzzles, or what you especially like about ST Math?
My favorite puzzle was the tomato level.
And what do you do on the tomato level?
You have to sort numbers.
Sort them how?
sort them by least to greatest or greatest to least.
Nice job, thank you. Sadie, what's your favorite part?
My favorite part is that you get to do all these different puzzles.
Do you have a favorite puzzle?
Probably the treasure one.
The treasure one, that's the new one that they just started with the 10s and 1s for place value?
Yeah.
Nice work, thank you. And how about you, Natalie? What's your favorite part?
My favorite part is when we do all the different kinds of things with Gigi.
All right, so are you talking about the adventures, or what about in the actual program do you like?
I like when we do ST Math. It's fun.
You like the whole ST Math program, all of the different puzzles?
Yeah.
All right. Anita, what about you? Is there something that you especially like with ST Math or the binder that we do?
I like solving puzzles.
You just like solving puzzles in general? Is there a puzzle that you especially liked?
My favorite puzzle is one where there's animals and you see how many zoos there are, and then you drag the correct number of feet that the animal has.
Yeah, well, you're finding the sum, right? So if it gives you the sum of 9, you have to show different ways to make a sum of 9. Yeah. That's really being a problem solver, isn't it? Nice job. I just want to thank my first graders for doing such a great job and for sharing. Thank you.
So these were just 2 ideas. They could stay here for a minute. 2 ideas that we shared with the people at the conference and the teachers, and we got great feedback from them from the conference itself. They said they were things they could take back easily and just tweak for themselves and change either the idea or the grade or the whatever the name was. I mean, everyone can do a binder. Everyone can do a scavenger hunt. It doesn't have to be at the beginning of the year. Mrs. Berthium actually got an email just last week, I think, just, asking her questions about it. So they're already, that was in October, and they're still asking and reaching out. So it's nice. We made a lot of connections there. The next conference is in February, so we're looking forward to that.
And I think the scary thing when you go and present at a state conference like this, you think to yourself, what ideas do I have that are new that other teachers haven't already thought about? You go into the room, and as we're starting, I'm looking at faces, and I'm thinking, they're probably thinking, I did that last year. Yep, we've heard that already before. But it was nice to get the feedback showing that we did have some new ideas. We did have something valuable to share. And that, as you can see, some of the feedback we got, we had a 4.4 out of 4 rating, which was wonderful. I think the only negative one we got was that there was nothing for upper elementary. But in our defense,
Right.
the description in our session was for lower elementary.
Yes.
So
We can always tweak it.
Definitely.
So I wanted to give everyone, can you give everyone one of those?
Absolutely.
So could you guys come up and stand up here?
Thank you. And I have something too in my bag for you.
I'm going to give you a certificate for being here tonight and helping us. So come stand over here so we can face our parents and they can take a picture. That's right. The backside is yours. And you hold on to that. There's Sadie. There's Axel. Right, breathe. You want me to take Gigi? You don't draw them? All right. I know you don't want to give them up. There you go. There you go. It shows them putting your face, right?
And maybe we could take a picture with the school committee as well, too.
Oh, you want me?
Oh, yeah, jeez.
Go right behind the school committee, take a big picture. Sure.
All right, we're going to come up here.
World Wide Web.
Or you can come in.
Look, coming in, we can go either in front, or they can come in like right here if they want.
Yeah, right in front of the school committee, right?
There you go.
In front of the people. There you go. Perfect. Smile, you guys. You did awesome.
So is your teeth.
Good job.
Good job, you guys. You did
Awesome.
amazing job.
thank you to Ms. Osha for putting this together, the teachers for coming out, but it was really cool to hear the kids talking about math. And you can really hear that math vocabulary and hear them talking about problem solving, so it's really cool, and their enthusiasm and their excitement for it. I also, as I was listening to them speak, it was cool to see the continuum of us as a district, because we started with 12th graders, and then we ended with first graders, so we got to actually see the alpha and the omega of what happened, so it's great to see, you know, our young students doing it, but we also get to see at the end, the kids as seniors, so thank you so much to the parents.
Thank you to the
kids
Thank
for
you for
coming.
coming, guys, so much.
Thank you.
I would just like to say to Ms. Blatchford and Ms. Berthium, thank you so much, because obviously you're the foundation blocks. I know Ms. Sosha, when we first got ST Math, there's like, we've got this new thing, we've got to figure it out. We know, but we've seen the scores, and what you guys are doing, you're building that foundation that carries the children through when they get up to the middle and the high school to get to the, yes.
Confidence that builds. So as a part of the kindergarten team, we always see the children pick up an addition. What they can never do is subtraction, no matter how many times. And you think in your head, it's just flipping it back and forth, how hard can it be? But subtraction was very difficult until we got ST Math. We can see that by the time we get to subtraction, they start to connect it to some of the games that they played in ST Math. And they already know how to do it, and it's amazing just to see the benefits of the program. The confidence in the independent problem solving is just out of this world. So it's an amazing program.
Thank you for tackling this.
Yes.
And
Thank you guys so
for
much.
becoming, you know, you're experts. You're teaching others how to do it too. So, so you're models for other people.
Yeah,
too.
the innovation piece of it is huge, right? Because that's how we stimulate those kids at a young age.
Yeah.
So we appreciate everything, and thank you, Ms. Sochos, too, as well.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much for coming in. Thank you.
They're just so darn cute, too.
They are. It's one of our favorite parts of the school year is getting the youngsters in here.
They spoke so well.
Are you keeping Gigi?
Yeah, the kids all.
I don't have a kid left behind.
It's her turn to take it home.
It's your turn to take it home today? Okay, all right. It happens. All right, so transitioning next to our STAR presentation from elementary and the primary school. As the committee knows, we started using STAR a couple of years ago as a benchmark assessment program, just to help teachers understand where kids are and where those areas of improvement can be, so they can begin tackling them. We've done it a couple different ways here. It's been nice to be able to do it in September, for you guys to see the beginning of the year numbers, but also come back in middle of the year and end of the year, because we now take this middle of the year assessment, well, quarter of the year assessment that you did in November, and a lot of tweaking happens between now and when they do the next assessment in January. I'll give my same thing I say all the time. It's just a snapshot in time. Doesn't define who our teachers are, who our kids are, who we are as a district. It's a snapshot in time. It's one assessment, but it's an important assessment that gives us the ability to modify and tweak instruction to meet the needs of kids so they can succeed. So we'll start with the primary. Mr. Haynes will come up as well too, and we'll go through our K through 5 STAR assessment. For the 5th grade, last year they used NWEA. This is the first year they've used STAR, so they're still learning that program a little bit, but I'll turn it over to Cindy and to Ken. Tough couple acts to follow.
STAR athletes, cute kids.
It's STAR data.
Numbers, so I'm doomed.
All right.
Okay. All right, so the first one that we're looking at is kindergarten, ELA. So we added in those mid-cycle, usually it's the beginning of the year, middle of the year, end of the year, but we did add in the November and then a March, just because that's a long time and we want to see where we're headed. So, and the graphs look nice, and the numbers underneath, we know you can't read, so the next slide, the next slide kind of spells out the numbers a little bit better.
But the visuals there between, again,
Yes.
red and yellow are kids who are in warning or below grade level. So this is a nice visual representation of where we were at the beginning of the year to 2 months later.
Right.
But here are the numbers.
Right, so in kindergarten, we went from 51 students at or above to 68 students are on watch, 7 students to 5 students. Intervention and urgent intervention, we had 15 students at the beginning of the year, and we're at 4 now, with no one in the urgent intervention. So that's a result of the teachers working hard on ISSPs, individualizing the instruction, knowing who those kids are, and us really working hard with those. Some of those 4, one is on an IEP, one, maybe 2 or 3 of them are in Title I, so they're receiving some services as well. So we know exactly who they are, what's going on with them, so that we can try to move those 4 as well. So we're looking forward to the middle of the year, which is coming up quickly in January. So we were pleased with the ELA, just to say no red. You know, we really cut the numbers there. Kindergarten doesn't have, in the STAR, they don't have the math program, and we talked about that last year, but our new Go Math series does have a new assessment. So we said, okay, we'll try it. We're game for anything, but we're not really sure of how it works, you know, what we're getting from it. So I gave you what we could figure out here. It seemed to be very similar to STAR because of the categories. There's one extra category. So they have above, on, approaching, below, and then far below. We're just not be able to get in and look at the data as much as we thought, and we don't know, is it us right now because it's so new, or, so that one's a work in progress, but I wanted to give it to you anyway because we will do that one again in January. So the numbers on that, we still get the numbers, so it's still something to look at for the data. So we had below level and far below, we're looking at 18 students that the teachers have identified, that we're doing ISSPs on, and so on. So it'll be interesting to see that middle of the year on that one. But we do need to learn a little bit more about that one, about just that tool, because it's so new. Grade 1 ELA, and the graph is beautiful because you can see we went from some reds now to no reds, and that's what we want. And it's funny because the teachers don't realize the work that they're doing until this comes out. And so I love to show them, and they only look at their own classes. They don't see the overall grade. So when they see this, they're like, I guess we did all right, you know? It's nice for them to get that feeling of accomplishment. So number-wise, in grade 1, we moved students from at or above 56 to 65. We decreased our intervention and urgent intervention, and again, no reds at all. And we have identified the 6 students, and one is an EL student who still made progress because he was one of the ones, you know, down in the red before and now has moved up. So we can see the progress that each one will be making, and they're all making progress. That's the important part. Might be small, but they're still making progress. So we're hoping to identify those 6 and move those 6 up. It's our goal anyway. And in the math, this one is unbelievable because there's no yellow that I could see, or maybe there's one there or 2, but no reds, hardly any blues. They're almost all green, and that's 95% of first grade right now in November at green. That's amazing, and I really feel like part of that is from the ST Math, the use of that, the combination of the 2. So right now, we have only 2 students that are in the yellow in math in grade 1. And we already have a teacher who has 100% in the green. So our process for the ISSPs, of course, the teachers get their own class, they can analyze their data, they can identify who's in the bottom 2 categories, so they do that on their own, and then they can dig deep into reports. So there are a lot of different reports, and we're even finding more and more. You know, they find them too, and then they share with each other. So there's one report that you can talk about the standards. Where are they weak on the state standards? There's another report that can find focus skills. There's another report that you can just go in and choose early literacy skills, and then you can dig deep into it and say, okay, I want to see the phonics, I want to see the vocabulary, and then within the phonics, long vowel A, short vowels, blends, you know, the diphthongs, all of those are listed. So you can keep clicking into those reports further and further, which is really useful and helpful for us. And then, of course, some skills, they're not ready yet. We haven't taught those yet. So you can see those in there. So then the teachers will create their student success plan, and they can do whatever method they want. We had different models that we handed out to them, different samples, and they chose what works for them. Kindergarten chose one thing, grade one another one. Another teacher likes more of a narrative, and she's sticker happy. She's got stickers everywhere. But it works for her, so, that's okay. Those change weekly, every week. It's like a new lesson plan where they're redoing there, and who's working with that student? Is it the paraprofessional? Is it the Title I person? Is it the remediation para? Is it the classroom teacher? How often are they doing it? So all of those come into play, and then they're assessing again. So we have those CBMs, the computer curriculum-based measures. There's something in Reading Wonders that we're working with too now, progress monitoring on fluency. And then, of course, your informal means that you're watching and listening to the kids read and what they're doing in the class. I meet individually with every teacher once the scores come out, and we talk about every child that they have in the red and the yellow and what are they doing, and we look at the ISSPs together and kind of reflect on it, what worked, what didn't work, are they ready to move on, and so on. And then this is a sample of one that I really like, and some teachers have seen it, and now they're adapting that one because it's very detailed. So it's telling you exactly the skill, which student it is, who's doing the work with them, how often, and what is the activity. And that takes a lot of planning just for those students. The nice part is, our numbers are down, so they don't have to do so many of these, which is nice.
And that's one of the big things we did this year across the district. Mr. Haynes is going to present on it, and Mr. O'Brien will be here in January, is taking the data from NWEA and from STAR and looking at where kids were weak and creating these plans really to focus in on it. We had the conversation in some grade levels where you might look at ELA and have a kid with 15 areas of weakness. 5 of them might be phonics. If he can't read, the other 10 really. So let's focus in on making sure that kids are reading at grade level, and then everything will come into play. But this is a great representation of what the teachers do on a weekly basis. They look at the kids, they do those small little formative assessments, and they say, what do we need to add? How many more minutes do we need to do? Do we need smaller groups, bigger groups, individualized groups? But it's a very detailed, but that's what an ISSP looks like for our students and for our
And
teachers.
it's working.
And it's working.
It's working for us.
Each student
And
gets
the-
one of these, is that what this is? If they
Just if they, yeah.
But the teachers are doing an amazing job, and I can't say enough about the work that they're doing on this. They just have totally embraced it, and they share with each other, they meet as teams, so I feel like everybody's on board. Everyone's doing, it's very cohesive, and we're all working together for the same goal.
I have a question, and I'm not sure who to direct it to, but I'd love to
Ask it,
hear.
we'll see what happens.
So it looks like you guys have made these great strides and that so many of the children were already pretty advanced. So what happens in the classroom that hit that 100%? And I don't know how curriculum works in the state of Massachusetts, if we have gifted programs, I'm not sure. So someone educate me on, can the teacher bump it up a little bit to give them challenges? What are we doing for those students who might start to get a
They do
little
that
bored?
Individually, if they're on a skill and there are kids, it's just like your reading groups. You have your above grade level groups, and then your on level, your below level. So they do that all the time, and they differentiate instruction. And just because the whole class is at 100%, that's based on the skills they're working on right now. So it doesn't mean that they're done for the year or anything. So there's more skills coming, but it's all about the differentiation and how they group the kids. And these 3 might need this, these 3 might need that, these 3 are advanced in this area, these 3 are my math stars, so we'll put them on something else. That's constant, that is just ongoing.
Okay.
That's just good teaching, too.
Oh, yeah, no, that's great to hear. I feel like there's so many constraints on teachers now. I didn't know if they still have the liberty to, so that's
I know
wonderful.
one of my kiddos benefit because she was pushed. When she met expectations and then some, she was pushed.
That's wonderful to hear.
Really looks like your building has definitely embraced MTSS.
Yes.
Anything else, Ms. Sosha?
Thank you.
All right.
I'll stay and support you.
Thanks.
I promise we don't bite up here.
Kick me under the table if I say something I shouldn't say.
then they'll see, because they can see. Well, I just want to say that I've been very fortunate because I've been able to, meet with Ms. Sosha every Monday morning we meet, and she's very giving of her time, and obviously what's going on at the primary school is working, and there's been a lot of structure there and a lot of great communication and hard work, and you see it in the numbers, right? It's wonderful. It's nice to see that all the kids advance like that, and so I've just been kind of I'm in sponge mode still, really. I'm just trying to learn as much as possible, and I look at a lot of what she does as really best practice and sort of applying those things into our own school, where the teachers, we have work to do, right, at the elementary school. We'll look at the numbers, we'll go over them. We have work to do. But I think when by taking some of those things that are working really well at the primary school and having us implementing them at the elementary school, I'm very, very confident that we're going to, we'll see the same result. It's just going to take a little time, but not long. But we do have work to do, and I'm aware of that. But I really feel like we're set up to succeed. I feel like we have all the tools. I feel like this is an adaptive assessment tool. This is amazing, like the level of granularity and guidance that you can get. You know what I mean? Instead of people trying to figure out things so much, it's right, the information is right there. You can get the information on an individual student or students, you can bring them together, you can work with them specifically on those skills. It's so efficient, and we have the support of administration tools and the people, and now we just got to put it all together. So, but I'm happy to go through our numbers, and I'll answer any questions, but just to start with, are there any before we go through the grades right now? I will start with the grade 2 early literacy, and one thing I'm just going to say right now, as far as that, is that if you see grade 2 early literacy and you jump to grade 2 reading, the numbers are a little they don't really entirely make sense, because as you can see, the numbers are kind of skewed and off. And the reason being is that there's sort of a leap in the assessment, right? There's a couple of options for grade 2. There's grade 2 early literacy, and then there's grade 2 reading, right? And so the grade 2 early literacy is really normed up to grade 3, and that assesses something different. That assesses more those early literacy skills, right? Once you get to grade 2 reading, it's more comprehension, and feel free to jump in if I'm, but it's more kind of, so they're sort of assessing kids on different things. And that's sort of this critical age, because that's sort of that grade 2 to 3 is like learning to read, reading to learn. So they're assessing things grade 2 to grade 3. But what happens if you jump ahead too early and you start assessing kids on their comprehension, but you still don't know exactly who's struggling in terms of those early literacy skills, then they could be sort of left behind, So I'm talking right now with like different people in the school who are more familiar with this assessment tool, and we're really discussing the possibility of continuing the early literacy through grade 2. So at the end of grade 2, we'll know which kids still need that help with those early literacy skills. Because if they're not solid in that area, then what's the point of assessing them on their comprehension if they still don't really read that well? So again, the early literacy was done, and then the reading, and so we're still going to decide in terms of discussions about what we're going to do towards the end of the year. But looking forward in the future, we think that the early literacy is really just the best way to go. And then when early 3rd grade, those kids who still need that help, you give them everything they need, and then you start assessing kids on the comprehension skills. So, and that's more appropriate there at 3rd grade. So just if you're wondering about that, that's that.
If I could just jump in, there's a cut score on the reading for grade 2, so if they don't meet that score, it won't even let them proceed with that test, that assessment. So then they have to go back and do the early literacy. So that's why it's a little confusing.
So don't even have the option, even if you wanted to measure both.
And then there are other assessment tools though too, right? So you have, you actually have the curriculum that has its own built-in assessments and things like that. And, as Dr. Vieira said, we're not just relying completely on this, which is a snapshot of where kids are. There are other ways of assessing kids, so.
You want to look at the numbers?
Yeah, if you want to forward, please, thank you. Any questions about the grade 2, the early literacy and reading? So there's the grade 2, that's the reading. So again, as you can see, there's sort of different numbers. Earlier in the year, there were only some of the kids were actually assessed on the reading, and ultimately what you got in terms of those students rising at or above benchmark to the mid-year cycle, there was a 2% increase. So again, just for consistency's sake, you're looking at different numbers of kids, and so it's really hard to determine how much progress you've made. In terms of math, if you look at our math scores, there was a 12% increase in the number of students that are at or above benchmark. So again, some progress, and really just the goal there is to sort of match those, follow those numbers, that progress that is being made at the primary level. But there is some progress being made. If you could continue, thank you. And then with the grade 3 reading, there's an 11% increase there in terms of students moving up into that at or above benchmark. But if you look at the numbers that are below that, there's still some work to be done. So again, this is all, we're going to be getting together as teams, looking more closely at this data. I'll be attending the CPTs, and I enjoy looking at this data. I feel like I have a good bit of experience, and I'm looking forward to working with the teachers, and also just, again, following the lead of what's going on at the primary school. But again, some progress, but still a lot of work to be done if you look at those students that are not yet at or above benchmark.
Do you happen to know, and if you don't, it's absolutely okay, how many of the students that are in intervention and urgent intervention have been within the district all along? Do you happen to have?
I don't, but that's actually an excellent question. That's like a data question, right? That's like, you can start to ask these questions and really dig down deep and see, where are these kids, right? Where are they from? And
right.
But again, going back to the data, what you can do also is it allows you to look at like you can look at a cohort and just see, okay, these kids have historically struggled here, and
right.
It can be a bit of a rabbit hole sometime. But I noticed and it's not necessarily these assessments, but I noticed on an item analysis on MCAS, and where you're actually looking at standards, and it was just I noticed that there was actually a standard that our students kind of struggled, right? Data tells a story, right? And then that story often it teaches you then try to figure out what to do with it, right? So these specific standards that I noticed that kind of across the board, we struggled with. So what do? You look at what that specific skill is, and you apply it there. With the STAR, you're actually able to get really, really granular, but then sometimes you can use those MCAS results, do that data analysis, and apply it really in your general ed curriculum, and have them working on specific things. So there's different ways of coming at the data, but that's an excellent question. So the math, the grade 3 math, again, let's see, so 20% increase in the number of students at or above the benchmark, so definitely some progress, a reduction there in the number of students that are below that, so those are more encouraging numbers there. Grade 4 reading, so a 1% increase there. In the grade 4 reading in terms of the students that are at or above benchmark, and a little bit of an increase of those students that are sort of from intervention and urgent up to the on watch. So those students that aren't yet at or above benchmark, you're seeing them move up a little bit, but we want to see them move up a lot. So again, just something that we need to focus on. And then the math, an 11% increase. And again, you see students kind of moving up the levels, but again, the goal is to get everyone in the green. Fifth grade reading. So there was a decrease there in the number of students that are at or above the benchmark. And let's see, so that's something, the STAR, I will say that for the grade 5 team, that this data is, they used a different assessment tool last year, and they did the map testing. So this is the first year that that they're using the STAR. They're new to this assessment tool, and as am I in overall sense. So I was at a meeting with the team the other day, and this is sort of something that we're really going to kind of work on together and get kind of up to speed with the rest of the school, and they're receptive to that. So we'll get familiar together utilizing this data, and I'm looking forward to working them in terms of using the data and then working with the other support systems, right? It's not just the classroom teachers, it's working with the Title I specialists, right? And seeing, breaking the kids up into small groups and knowing exactly what needs to be done. So when you get those extra hands in the classroom, you know what kids need what, and to be ready to work with them. And that's something that we're working on as well, like just the scheduling and making sure that the teachers know when that extra support is coming, and they know who the kids are that need that extra support, what they need to be working on. So the whole idea of the scheduling is a big part of the MTSS, right? That's one area of MTS, is having really efficient, effective scheduling and support. And tightening up the schedule is something that needs to be done and will be done. We're already started looking at it, so.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
So, for the 5th grade, did they look at the previous, it was NWEA, did they pull that data at the same time as this? Just to see how comparable it is to last year. Like, this looks different than last year's data.
Okay.
And so, that's why I'm just curious, like, how they compared to each other.
May I ask you a question? I'm sorry, because last year, are you asking, like, did they take this cohort's data from last year? See what I mean? Are they?
Well, I know that STAR is new to them.
Yes.
And this is STAR data that we're looking at, right?
Correct, yes.
So my question is,
What did the 5th grade data look like last year?
well, if we pulled NWEA data,
That's a good question. We could look.
how would it compare to last year's NWEA, like, data?
I know it's not apples to apples because
Yeah.
NWEA is measuring more towards MCAS.
Yeah.
And this is a different assessment tool. But I'd be curious to see if you look at NWEA's in 5th grade last year, NWEA, and we just saw it with Go Math, the categories, the colors are the same, but they list the categories differently. Be curious to see what it looks like for NWEA data.
That's a great question, yeah. We have not done that yet, but I'll pull that. And, it is an apples to apples, but you can still get a sense, right? You can still
Well, because I
get
think
that.
last year we kind of had a sense that, I'm not sure if it was tremendous strides, but I feel like we moved forward with 5th grade,
Mhm.
at least. So, here, the at or above, clearly it's a little drop.
Correct.
So, I'm wondering if NWEA would show the same, because if we've been looking at NWEA data and we've been showing progress there, it's like, okay, well, we're progressing, so what we're doing is working. And then when you look at this, it's like, well, wait a minute here, like, it looks like something's not working, so I'm just curious if that's the case, is NWEA showing us something else that
Sure.
now or wasn't capturing something that now STAR is capturing? I'm just
Now that you
curious.
mention this, and it's an excellent point, it makes me want to take a look at this cohort's results last year with the STAR, right? And so what did that look like? So, and are there specific areas? So I think that's a really good point. So I'll look at that as well. We'll factor that in, right? And see if there's like a trend with the cohort, right? In specific areas with the cohort, that again, it's 2 different tests, but ultimately, they're assessing a lot of the same things, and we can identify those things, and that's the kind of data that we could use. Because if it's last year and this year, that consistency, then we know that we need to hit those particular areas and try to get support. So that's a great point. Thank you.
I would love for you to keep an eye or keep an ear out with the teachers as to the difference to testing the kids. Because last year you only did 3 times, right? And this year is 4. Is that in both schools?
5.
It's 5. On just STAR?
STAR is 5 times. But how long, I know the MAP assessment, the NWEA is a little bit longer in length. I think it's about 45 minutes. How long is each STAR assessment?
Oh, not long at all. For my grade level, I would imagine it's a little bit longer for.
What's it at the
Yeah.
primary per
Maybe
assessment?
15 minutes.
Okay. It's not
But we saw that happening Mr. O'Brien will talk about it when he comes for the middle school. That was one of the issues that he had because the kids had, the eighth graders had math, they had ELA, they had science, and then they had this, and they had the end of the year, and they were graduating, so.
Yeah, and MCAS,
Yeah.
and I feel like at some point, these kids are burnout on the test taking, and they're probably not giving us their best.
Test fatigue does happen
Yeah.
at some point. Easier to do that in the younger grades, but when they get a little bit older and they know it doesn't count, and you can't,
Yes.
you know, say this really counts,
My son just wants to get.
makes it a little bit
Right,
trickier.
right, some of them just want to get it done.
Makes it a little
and-
trickier
Yeah.
in the older grades to get good authentic data if they know this is just a benchmark assessment.
Yeah, well, and sometimes too, I've noticed, like, we got our kids' MCAS scores last year, and we were like a little puzzled, because I'm like, you know, your grades do not reflect what this reflects, so it's like, you know, but they figured out that the test doesn't count, so I'm like, great. So anyways, I just, you know, with you guys having to test them so frequently, I was just very curious if because some of the data is a little puzzling, if that might be. But I mean, we're only 2 tests into the year, so now I'm worried about you continuing forward.
Honestly, I think it's a great tool. It's the fact that you can just get it just gives you so much information, and it makes our jobs, it's not an easy job, but I'm just saying that it's like, when you know specifically what to work on with the kids, it's so helpful, and you can pull those kids together. Just like an example with like one teacher and one person, support person that comes in a para, they're in 30 minutes, they're gonna come in, they're gonna know which kids it is are just going to get into this routine, and they're going to come in, they're going to work on things for 30 minutes. And that, again, that's part of MTSS, is like aligning the schedule, optimizing your resources, you know, no waste of time, and then when you have that time and you know how to make the most use of it, knowing specifically what this kid or these children need, then you can do that. And that's what I'm trying to do, is align all the resources with the needs within the schedule, and then you're like the primary school, and you start to see that, right? So really, it's an attainable goal, you know?
Pressure is on now. Hope I can hold it.
No,
yeah.
but it is, I mean, and I know this is only day 12 for you, maybe 14 on here, but talk a little bit about I know we've had some conversations, I know you've worked a lot with Cindy, too, about making sure those ISSPs are being done, and teachers are using the data, looking at the data to start mitigating those gaps and moving kids out of intervention into the greens.
Yeah, so there was the professional development was conducted in October, right? And so they had the PD, but again, there wasn't the leadership in place really, I don't think, or there hasn't been. They've been doing a great job kind of keeping it all together, and I really credit them for doing a fantastic job. But they've all been trying to have gotten all their kind of fingers and toes in the dike, and so the idea of like kind of following through the ISSPs, having that structured scheduling, meeting with someone, kind of being held accountable to the ISSPs, and just having that sort of cadence, right? Which I know that Cindy has with her staff, right? So where I am right now is I'm trying to get a sense of where everyone is with their ISSPs. Like each team, I'm going to the CPT meetings, and just we're just getting started with all that, but finding where they all are, and then getting to the point where the teachers know what they need to do, how to do it. I think you've given your staff like a good bit of autonomy to develop them in a manner that works well for them, right? And that's proving to work too. So again, I'm going to kind of follow a lot of what's working at the primary, and not making teachers feel like they have to create a report every week, that it's just a boilerplate thing that they resent doing, and where it's something like, well, what works for you, let's set it up, let's structure it in a way that works for you, and that will ensure that you're successful, right? So I think that's what's going on in the primary, and I want to have that be the same at our school, and then sort of have us get really consistent. So really every team, every teacher, we're all in the same, basically, it might look a little different, right, at the individual ISSP level, depending on who's doing it, but the fact that everyone's doing it, they're following through, they have that information, and then they're doing it over the course of the week. So if you look there, kind of my first couple points are just to see where everybody is, and just start having that be a part of the conversation. And then moving it along, getting us all like sort of lockstep in terms of that. And then if you see the next thing is that identify the levels of STAR data use and proficiency at the school, grade, classroom, and individual level for the ISSP development. So there's the ISSPs. What does it look like? What's the, what's yours going to look like? You being the teacher, and then how are you going to take that data and put it in there? So it's the sort of the two things, right? So that's really what I'm working on right now. And then next, I'll work alongside the teachers. Oh, if you could go back, sorry. That's okay. To analyze the data, identify those students, utilize those skill-specific reports. Again, that those reports are incredibly helpful. And then that way you prioritize the kids and the skills that they need to work on, right? So it just helps you identify all that. And then working with the teachers for the targeted interventions, either by the paras or the teachers in one-to-one or small group settings. And then if you look down a little lower, continue to assess the curriculum-based measures, those CBMs, with the Wonders program, right? So just, again, those additional assessments that we have to work with. The STAR is just one. And then, again, just if you look down at the bottom, just having that sort of routine, meeting with the teachers, going to the CPTs, and just getting comfortable working together. Like, I'm sort of this new person coming in, and it's, we're not all, it's, we're not a fine-tuned machine yet, each team, but the goal is to, I have really had some good experiences working collaboratively with teachers, and I just look forward to getting that comfort level with all the teams there. So it's going to be a little bit of a process, but I know we need to move quickly. So anyway. And then here, this is just kind of a model of an ISSP, right? So, but again, this is kind of a starting point, and just what's filled in is an example of it being filled in. But that just gives you a sense of what the ask is of the teachers, and it's reasonable. So again, I'm looking forward to it. That's a map. That to me is like a map. How am I going to work with the kids in the most need this week? That's your weekly map to helping. You have your other curriculum, your lesson plans, etc. But this is okay, what about those kids that are struggling? That's your map right there. So, yeah. I feel lucky. It's a cool tool. I actually feel really lucky to have it. I've never worked with anything like STAR before. I've done the NWEA, but I really like this tool. So, does anyone have any questions?
I wanted to thank you guys both and your teams for all that you guys are putting into this. I know it's not easy, and I know it's a lot of work. I appreciate that you're looking at the scheduling. Our kids are only in, kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade once, and we need to maximize every minute that they're in our building. So, I know that our teachers are wonderful at what they do, and I just think that continuing to streamline the process and getting the biggest bang for our buck is so important, because our kids need to be in their classrooms, they need to be with their peers, they need to be learning, and they need to feel good about themselves, and all this work helps that. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you both for coming in tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That is it for my report for tonight, although I really didn't do it. Thank you.
Thanks. Moving over to the school committee and subcommittee report, the accounts payable.
Sure. So I did the first two. Warrant 20 SCH 24, warrant date 11/16/2023. One batch totaling $38,691. Warrant 21 SCH 24, 21 SCHL 24, HS 24-02, warrants dates 11/22/23 and 11/24/23, a total of 14 batches and a total dollar amount of $537,634.57. I saw nothing irregular and no concerns.
I will take over for the next warrant, warrant Warrant 22 SCH 24 dated November 30th in the amount of $23,603.31. There were 7 items in there, and there was nothing out of the ordinary on this. Moving on to the consent agenda. We could look at the November 15th meeting minutes. Nobody has any issue, I'd be looking for a motion.
I move to approve the November 15th, 2023 school committee meeting minutes.
Motion made by Monique, seconded by?
Second.
Second by Megan. All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Thank you. Next is the FY 2024 grant expenditure approvals for the FY 24 special education grants. The IDEA 240 grant in the amount of $316,716 and the IDEA 262 grant in the amount of $11,415. And I'm sure Courtney's going to talk to us about this.
I will keep it short and quick. So we have to bring the grants to the school committee for approval for the expenditure of funds. And as you indicated, we have the IDA Part B, which is typically called the 240 grant. That's $316,716, and that is typically used for special education tuitions and contractual services and sometimes some other minor things, but the bulk of it is tuitions. And then we have the IDEA Part C, which is typically called the 262 grant, for $11,415, and the purpose of expenditure for that grant is for the preschool program. It's a partial of a ABA. Part of that salary. So the total of these 2 grants is $328,131 in federal grant support special education initiatives that student staff and for the student staff and the school district. Does anyone have any questions?
If not, be looking for a motion.
I move to approve the following FY 2024 federal grants that have been applied for and the expenditure of funds as approved by DESE and/or amended and approved by DESE, the FY 2024 IDEA Part B 240 grant, and the FY 2024 IDEA Part C 262 grant.
Motion made by Teresa, seconded by?
Second.
Second by Monique. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Thanks. Next one is the FY 2024 DHS Innovative Career Pathway Support Grant for manufacturing in the amount of $75,000.
Yes, we just recently received a $75,000 grant for the high school, and these grants are to provide students coursework and experiences in a specific high-demand industry, such as technology, engineering, healthcare, life sciences, and advanced manufacturing. And Douglas High School received its Innovative Career Pathways designation in 2023 for manufacturing. So we have received this grant in the amount of $75,000. And I didn't know if Mr. Ringett would like to say any more about the program or anything. Is this the first time that we've received a grant for the Innovation Career Pathways?
Good evening, everybody.
Evening.
So the Innovation Career Pathways Grant is kind of going to open up, hopefully, some of our avenues to help some of our students explore maybe not your traditional high school path that we currently have. It's going to hopefully increase some of our manufacturing parts, such as our Project Lead the Way programs and things like that. Some of the things we're working on right now is advanced manufacturing classes, and we're looking into aerospace engineering classes to potentially offer to our students actually as soon as maybe next year.
Mm-hmm.
Optimistic, but positively optimistic about being able to offer that as early as September for our students, and kind of at least provide them a way to say, you know what, I'd like to learn different skills. yes, I can do the Pythagorean theorem and I can solve a quadratic formula, but, I like working with my hands. Can I help build an engine turbine?
Yep.
Things like that. So that's what we're going to be looking into introducing to our students with this grant.
Awesome.
Very cool. That's great.
Very
Any
good.
questions?
It's anything we can do to keep our kids in the district and staying here and,
Make the connection.
anything, every kid needs to have a reason to come to school. Every kid needs to have a connection to the school, so I think that's awesome.
Excellent.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Well,
you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
Thank
You
you.
too. So then, any other discussion? I'd be looking for a motion.
I move to approve the FY 2024 DHS Innovation Career Pathways Grant in the amount of $75,000 that has been applied for, and the expenditure of funds as approved by DESE and/or amended and approved by DESE.
Motion made by Monique, seconded by?
Second.
Seconded by Beth. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Thank you.
Okay, the next thing on the agenda, and we've never had to do this before, but grant actually closed out before we, were able to, restructure funds. We've had some issues with some grants where, we planned for certain things, and whether it be professional development or, like mentoring and different things that we're trying to do in the district, and sometimes it doesn't come to fruition, so. So I do need to rescind FY 2004 reclassification number 4 from the school committee meeting of November 1st, 2023.
So I'd be looking for a motion.
When you say rescinded, are we taking it out of our
Oh,
account?
we're just not moving anything.
Okay, so the
Yeah.
money's just staying in
We're
the
just
account?
undoing, yeah.
Undoing it.
Okay.
Yeah, for now.
I know that's not the technical
Yeah,
term.
but yeah, we're just kind of basically not doing what we were going to do, yeah.
Okay.
Not able to.
So I move to rescind the FY 2024 reclassification number 4 that was approved on November 1st, 2023.
Motion made by Teresa, seconded by?
Second.
Second by Megan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. And then we have for this evening, FY 2024 reclassification number 6. We did 5, at the last meeting, just in case you're wondering why we, so these are just things that need to be adjusted for either funding source or account.
Anybody have any questions?
I move to approve the Douglas Public Schools FY 2024 reclassifications number 6, school committee meeting December 6th. December 6th? Yeah, 2023.
Yeah.
Motion made by Monique, seconded by?
Second.
Second by Megan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. And I did provide for you this evening, which I kind of just the agenda, I've been going through here, I'm going to see where we are. Okay, we didn't miss anything. Nope, okay. So I also did provide for you the FY 2023 end-of-the-year financial report. This is unaudited, but I mean, it's the one that I submitted to DESE. And for those of you that are new, this is a report that's required every year by DESE. So this is all of the expenditures from the school district. Schedule 1 is the entire, everything. It's the general fund, it's all the grants, donations, revolving funds, absolutely everything. Then we also have a Schedule 4. Schedule 3 breaks things out by schools, but that's not included with this one here. That'll be included with the audited. That's a whole separate schedule. Schedule 4 is special education expenditures. Schedule 7 is for school transportation. And then we have, part of Schedule 1 as far as the town, things that are paid for out of town budgets, but are to support the school department. Schedule 1 is what was spent in FY 2023, so that's in Schedule 1. And then there's a Schedule 19 that's budgeted for FY '24, the school town expenditures. Some of those are like time spent from the treasurer's office and the accounting office on, doing the warrants, payroll, things of that nature. We have the resource officer, maintenance of grounds, when the highway department does sanding or snow plowing, anything attributed to the school department. Also, we have the employer retirement contributions. That would only be for Worcester Regional Retirement. There isn't anything spent on the town side with regard to MTRS. So any of the teachers and administrators, they're in MTRS. There is no towns fund anything to that. That's all state. So it would just be all the other employees that are like custodians, cafeteria, secretarial, ABAs, paras, things of that nature. And then we have insurance for active and retired retirees, health insurance and other insurance benefits, dental, et cetera, that the town, is in the town budget. It's attributed to school employees or retirees. And then other insurance, for instance, workers' compensation, unemployment, things of that nature. So in other words, DESE is trying to capture all of the expenditures regardless of budget, whether it be school side or town side, because it's all part of town anyway, but the rest of it's appropriations that are coming, the town appropriation coming to us, that's our general fund, or grants, revolving funds, and donations, that's all on the school side. But then these other expenditures that have to be reported in either Schedule 1 or 19 are in town department budgets. And it also has BBT, and also school building construction, the debt and interest on that as well. Trying to think if I missed anything. I think that's pretty much it. So, you can take a look at that. If you have any questions on the report, how it works, or just looking through anything that you wonder about, you will get it again when it's audited and finalized as well, along with a copy of the audit report itself. And audits are late, like everything else is so late. These days, hard to get things, people to come in and get things done because they're so overwhelmed as well. So that's all I have for this evening.
So I have a question. So if somebody, say, at home was wondering where the money went in the district and kind of how it ended up being spent, do we end up providing the audited report, like on our website, or? So I guess.
Yeah. You know what, to be honest with you, Beth, that's a good question. I don't recall if I have posted it on the website.
Because I think.
That's a good idea. Yeah, it's a good idea. But I wouldn't do the unaudited.
No. I know this is like kind of like the rough.
Oh, I'm going to be putting a lot more things on the website going forward.
No,
On a lot of things.
And I
Capital
think-
projects, and that's another good idea. To be honest with you, I can't remember whether I have or I haven't.
I
So I'll
don't think
definitely
I've ever
check.
seen it, but I think it
Yeah,
would just
take a
be
look.
nice for people.
Oh, absolutely.
That want to know where
Absolutely.
things go.
Yep.
And I just had another random weird question. So
Uh-huh.
the school department pays money back to the town for plowing our road?
No.
Did
No.
I don't know if I misunderstood.
Okay, so let me restate that. So
I'm
these are
probably
things in the town budget, in their own budgets, yep. But they do come up with, and I get, Jean,
Yeah.
she gives me all the backup documentation like this thick. So say for instance, the resource officer, it would be his salary
Yeah.
and the direct benefits attributed to his salary.
Like his
It
fringe
has to
and
go in
stuff.
there, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And then she gets information from the highway department. They have the exact amounts, of course, for insurance, because they have all the employees, what kind of insurance, the exact cost for each one. And then, any workers' comp and employment, that's by department, so they can get that, so it's
So
all.
kind of our piece of the total pie, kind of thing.
Well, from the town side.
From the town, yeah.
Because
this
remember,
is-
the DESE report is all school department. Yep, so they just want to see all the costs attributed to the school department.
Oh, that makes sense.
In there, but separated out, because of course we have our own appropriation, things, grants and donations, and circuit breaker, school choice that comes directly to us. But then there are things in the town budget.
No.
And you can't mix them together, but at least they want to know, though, it is attributed to the school department.
No, that
So
makes
that's how they capture those costs in those reports. Thank you.
No, thank you.
I'll definitely look into that.
No, I
Things
just
we
think
put on that website.
No, I think
Yeah.
it's good because
Oh,
as,
absolutely.
as a mom or whoever's out there, like,
Mm-hmm.
we do have a budget and we do have a big budget of the town. Well, we have
And it's
money.
complicated.
It is
And it's
complicated and I.
Especially when you look at this report.
Yeah, so I don't know,
It is
knowledge is power
complicated.
for people. I
Yeah.
think it's good to show them.
And it's audited at the state level.
Yes, so-
So it's, we do have someone who comes in independently and
Mhm.
audits our books.
Right, a checks
Well as
and
on the
balance.
si- As well as on the town side, they
Yeah.
do as well.
Mhm.
So, I mean, it's the checks and
Well, there's
balances.
a lot of audits.
Yes,
We go through a lot of
yes,
audits.
we go through a
School
lot of-
lunch has a lot of auditing just separate. You have to in the school department, and because of the Single Audit Act, they also, because of the dollar threshold, although now it's a little bit different with the, the free audit. But that's always incorporated in there. Single Audit Act also includes some other grants. We have the Student Activity Fund audit. We have the end of the year report audit. We have the town audit that looks at every single department. We're only one department of the town. So they do look at, payroll, everything.
Yeah.
Every single department though, for that one, But, oh, yes.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Anything else, Courtney?
No, any other questions on this at all? And again, you don't have to ask a question, always here. Anytime, I'm reachable anytime. If you're looking at it, you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Topics not anticipated.
Nothing for tonight.
So I do have a topic that's not anticipated that we did discuss briefly, is about the rescheduling of the January 3rd. We're just coming back from holiday. I would like to have a motion to delete that January 3rd school committee meeting, because I think we need to do that to make it on public record so we know the reason why. It's the scheduling of everything from the holiday. So I'd be looking for a motion to remove the January 3rd meeting, and we would meet on January 17th and do a longer session if required.
Okay. We'll pack dinner. No, I'm just kidding, yeah.
I make a motion to remove the January 3rd, 2024 Douglas School Committee meeting and continue with the January 17th, 2024 School Committee meeting.
Thank you, Monique. Motion made by Monique and second. Second by Teresa. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? All right, thank you. Now we are going to enter into executive session, and an executive session is a strategy with respect to the collective bargaining or litigation of an open meeting that may be detrimental effect to the bargaining or litigation position of the government body, and to conduct collective bargaining, to review contract language, propose revision strategies for a successful completion of agreements between the Douglas School Committee, the superintendents of the school contract. We will not be coming back into public session. We will adjourn from that. I would need a motion for us to enter into executive session.
I move to enter into executive session at 8:02.
Motion made by Beth, seconded by?
Second.
Seconded by Megan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain? Thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
We need a roll call vote.
Roll call vote, please.
Beth Bergstrom, aye.
Teresa Brooks, aye.
Meg Rodzen, aye.